So we are back with our third video of the day, this time taking a look at the deep dive blog from EA Sports on their new mode called Draft Champions. Now we already did two videos based on E3 and some of the things that EA's done. If you watch those videos and you're back for a third video, I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you like those videos enough to come back and watch a third one. I really appreciate that. If you haven't, take a look on our channel. We definitely posted some other videos and we're going to be posting a couple more as well. Might end up doing 4 or 5 videos by the time it's all said and done. So let's just get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the blog and I'm going to give my opinions based on what I'm reading as we go along. So for several years, one of the most common questions and comments heard around the EA Sports studio were related to fantasy football. What are you going to do with fantasy football? Madden NFL should be doing fantasy. If you asked 5 different people, you'd get 6 different answers. The challenge is delivering the core fantasy draft experience without losing the on-field excitement that Madden NFL fans have come to expect. In Madden NFL 16 Draft Champions, the team has delivered on both fronts. So the first thing our team did was take a look at the traditional fantasy football experience, which is a 12 to 16 round snake draft spread out over a few hours. And while this can be a lot of fun with friends, it can be a really long event. Also, without pizza, wings, and trash talk, the experience loses something, which is true. You're just going to be, maybe sitting in your underwear, on a Saturday doing your draft, and it can get a little bit boring if you have to spend a lot of time sitting around and drafting. Now, that format also has 2 downsides from a Madden point of view. Not only is it tough to organize that many people for a large event, just ask your commish, but the actual time spent drafting players is very small, which is true. Fantasy football is a lot of fun, but we realize the Madden NFL version needed some tweaks. So now they're going to talk about what the goal is. So let's scroll down here so you can see a little bit of the screenshot. Okay. So having identified the challenges, we asked ourselves, what is the core fun of fantasy football that will work for Madden? It's pretty obvious that making the pick. Everyone knows that when you make your pick, that's the best part of a draft. Choosing the player that's going to carry your team. And draft night is the best part of fantasy football. So the goal of Draft Champions was giving players draft night over and over again. So as you can see here in the screenshot, what you're looking at is 3 players. We're in round 1 of 15. You have 15 rounds to draft your team. So the CPU is going to randomly select other players for you in that draft, but you're going to pick your 15 core guys. So each round there's going to be 3 players that pop on your screen. As you see here in round 1, we have 2 players rated an 85 and 1 player rated an 86. So the ratings will be a little bit different, and they'll be different each round. And it's not going to start with the highest and then just go lower and lower and lower, or it's not going to start with the lowest and go higher and higher and higher. It's just going to be random. You might have an 85 in round 1 and then like a 92 in round 7. Also, as you can see, all positions are different. A middle linebacker, right end, and left outside linebacker. So you just go back and forth between those guys, and you look at their speed and their strength, acceleration, tackle, all whatever attributes it is, and you compare, and then you draft your guy based on that. And you can go as fast or slow as you want. If you just want to go and literally take a minute, like it would take 1 minute to just glance at guys and just draft your team, boom, 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 especially as the year goes on, you know what you like, then you can definitely do that. And that's why they say the goal of Draft Champions was giving players draft night over and over again. So Draft Champions adds to the fantasy football experience by paying off draft night immediately. So as soon as the draft is over, players can take the new squad onto the field. And the result is a very tight draft experience that distills the best parts of fantasy football and combining it with an exciting Madden event that can be completed in an evening. So I'm not sure if you have to complete it in an evening. I mean, I doubt it, but you do get 4 games, and I'm sure they're going to talk about that a little bit more as we get into the blog. Anyone who gets through head-to-head gauntlet will truly be worthy of the title Draft Champion. So, Draft Night Reimagined. So the team had 4 goals with the creation of Madden NFL 16 Draft Champions. Always on the clock, every pick matters, keep it tight, replayable. So as you see here, what happens is you get a choice between 3 coaches. Now, the interesting aspect of Draft Champions, at least based on what we know it to be right now and what they've released, is that when you pick a coach for that team, you're actually going to be using that team's offensive and defensive playbooks. So you're not going to be choosing your own playbook by the looks of it. You're going to be getting that coach's. So if maybe you don't like the 49ers defense, but you really like their offense, it's going to be maybe a little bit of a conundrum as to which coach of the three you're going to want to pick. And that's the other great thing about it. This is what I really, really like about the mode. As soon as I saw this right away, as long as this is true and that we can't select our own playbooks right away, is you don't have a choice what three coaches are going to come up. So maybe you didn't lab San Francisco, Green Bay, or Miami that much. You're locked on to Philadelphia, you're locked on to Run and Gun, and you're locked on to Denver. Those are the three that you really like. Then the draft comes up, and you're like, oh man, like what playbook do I use? Not only for offense, but for defense. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle. It's going to make things a lot more interesting because not everyone's going to be able to go to their money right away. They're going to have to take a look at that playbook. A lot of people probably draft their team and then go into practice mode just to get familiar with that playbook if they hadn't really used it. So I love that aspect. I've always loved the idea, even though I'm a no rules kind of guy and I just like to play the game, I love the idea of forced playbooks. At TGL over the years, we play a lot of Ask Madden games. We've done a lot of different style of things, pick each other playbooks, random teams. So I definitely love that as a feature. Now, Draft Champions begins by picking from one of the three coaches, which help ensures each draft will be different and the pace remains high. Coaches determine a team's offensive and defensive playbooks, as you can see there. And it also defines two default styles, typically one offensive and one defensive. Your team's uniform is determined by your favorite team. Simply update the team choice to change uniforms, which is great. I love, the one thing in MUT is the uniforms were so expensive. I love to use Cleveland Browns orange, Denver Broncos orange, and Miami Dolphins orange. And I didn't play MUT that much and I wasn't able to use uniforms. And while I'm not big on like I like good graphics, definitely I do. But it's not the be all end all. I like to have a good uniform on field, and when I played MUT, I couldn't do that. A base team is then generated, which is playable but relatively low rated. There's a group of players that are available for base team rosters. While overall ratings are similar, there will be some variety in the types of players that show up. Over time, draft champion players realize which player should stay and which should be upgraded. So this is really good as well. So the one issue that I had with Madden Ultimate Team is that I didn't start playing it till the end of the year. At this point, my team's an 89 overall, which, you know, you might think is pretty good, but literally everyone's at least a 96. And I can't even tell you, I think I've played like 9 games in a row where I faced like every position you look at is 99, 99, 98, 97, 99, 90, like it's ridiculous. And even though my team's a 89 overall, I've got like a 98 quarterback, I've got like a 94 Calvin stuff, but like my offensive line and my like some of my defensive line are like 80, like 82. So it's like it's a killer. At least here it's even. Whether you play the first month of the year or whether you play in January or whether you play in June. So I definitely like that. So now let's move on to upgrading your team. So now comes the heart of the experience, drafting players to upgrade your team. Players have the choice of 3 players in each round with a limited number of rounds, and each pick matters. So I did get a little bit ahead of myself, but as you can see here, you're looking at, again, 3 different positions. So are you going to draft a center? Well, we don't know. We don't know how the game plays. Maybe a center is a big thing, right? Maybe there's some sort of glitch where people can be on the defensive line, use the defensive tackle, and if you like an under center offense, if your center sucks, you know, maybe that's an issue. Do you like to throw high passes to tight ends using the new spectacular catch animations? Or do you really need a good quarterback? Maybe you need speed at quarterback, so you're going to skip on Joe Flacco here and go with the tight end. Or maybe you don't really care, you just want to ensure that you get a good quarterback, because if you skip on a quarterback and they don't offer you any good quarterbacks in the next however many rounds, that's a risk that you're taking, right? you might end up with a really bad quarterback just based on the fact that as the draft goes on, it's only 15 rounds. There's no guarantee that you're going to get a good quarterback. So I definitely like that. As you can see here, you might end up with a Colt McCoy as your number one guy. Maybe, right? We'll see. So every draft will be different. There may be a number of highly rated wide receivers and halfbacks, in one draft, and a number of safeties or linebackers in another. Every pick will be an upgrade over the base team, and Draft Champion will give players tough decisions in every round. So, unlike a typical draft, the quality of players to choose from rises and falls from round to round. One draft may create a defensive juggernaut, while another could create a power running game behind a dominant offensive line. So let's take a look at a couple sample rounds. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of talking over these last few videos, so my mouth is getting a little bit dry and it's a little bit harder to talk, so I do apologize. So which position is most important to me right now? Is it cornerback, strong safety, or tight end? So we've got two 90s and a 91. Well, this is a big thing, right? So we got to find out how the game plays, first of all, to determine what's going to be the most valuable player. We all know that with this new catching feature, a Gronkowski might be an absolute animal. But on the flip side of it, we've got Cam Chancellor, one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league. Sorry, that was really bad imitation. One of the hardest hitting safeties in the league on defense. So maybe if we use the aggressive trait with him, he can knock the ball from Gronkowski, especially if they're using the spec catch thing or the aggressive catch with Gronk. So you definitely are going to have a decision to make there. Now, we're going to go a little bit further down. So do I go for depth at wide receiver or strength in my line? Now, for me, over the course of my CFMs, offensive line, just the way Madden has been built over the course of time, I mean, I've went entire drafts without even drafting an offensive line and then letting the computer pick it for me at the end because it's never really been a big deal. I want guys that are going to make plays. And again, especially with these new things on offense with catching the ball, if that ends up being overpowered, you're definitely going to want to have two boss wide receivers, right? I mean, we all know that Madden has been an offensive game year in and year out. So if you can get like a Ruben Randall, maybe he's got a card in the game that's like really, really good and you're getting in that draft, he is a 6'2" wide receiver, I mean, who knows what they're going to give you as far as height for wide receivers in each draft. There's just a lot to consider, which is really why I like the mode quite a bit. As you can see here, if you look at the quarterbacks again, I mean, we're around 8 of 15, and the quarterback is Mark Sanchez, then Charlie Whitehurst, and Dustin Colquitt, or no, I can't tell. I can't tell who that is. It can't be Dustin Colquitt. Actually, yeah, it can because that's a punter. Anyway, are you going to get a quarterback in the next couple rounds? Like, you're stuck with Sanchez right now, right? So you got to take these things into consideration. I mean, just thinking about this mode and everything, I mean, I'm definitely very excited. I don't need to spend all that time playing MUT to build my team. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to take a break here and talk about the fact that I'm surprised that EA did this. I mean, they got a money-making juggernaut in Madden Ultimate Team. Do you realize the risk they're taking? What if this mode literally makes MUT unplayable? Nobody wants to play it. Everybody loves this. They say that it's free. They don't have any monetization in it. To me, honestly, I think EA is so smart as far as business go. Everybody complains about the game, and you see on Twitter, and you think about all the feedback. But think about how rich EA is, right? The money they have is ridiculous. The amount of money they make on all their games each year. Then you take into account all the Ultimate Teams across the board, and Madden being one of the biggest ones. And they're just taking such a big risk. To me, I don't know who thought about this, but to make it look identical to Madden Ultimate Team and have it this style, that's just a huge risk. That is just a huge risk from a business standpoint I mean, I'm not going to go on and on, but I think about it, man, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did this, but I love it. I just love it. I mean, they're taking such a risk. Oh my God, I could just say that over and over again for half an hour. They're taking such a big risk. So, number 4, do I go for the higher rated player or take a player to help my style rating? Which is true. I mean, I'm not really sure. I didn't play too much of Mutt. I didn't really, the whole style thing. Nobody really knew if it worked or whatever. So unless there's actual like glaring proof that it does work, you're probably just going to take the higher rated player. I think there's a lot of people in the community that believe that it really doesn't even do anything. Just like when they release cards of like players at 102 speed or something like that, the threshold, I mean, it probably isn't even more than 100 speed. It's just to look good, right? Just like player traits. I mean, they're not even in Madden Ultimate Team. So anyway, you can watch video number 1 for a little bit of detail from me on that. So let's try to get this finished here. So a typical draft consists of 15 player rounds. The limited number of rounds mean that you're always on the clock and every pick is crucial. Experienced players will be able to move through the draft quickly, but draft champions includes tools to take a deeper look at players before making a selection. So what that means is basically if you just want to go like bang, 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 bang and just pick all your guys real quick, go ahead. But draft champions, so guys that really care and guys that really want to go through the experience, it's just telling you that if you want to take more time to make your pick, you can. The limited number of rounds and players per round also mean that every draft will be different. Love that. Players competing in draft champions can play repeatedly without ever building and or facing the same team. If you know anything about me or if you follow me on Twitter or anything like that, you know that one of the comments that I've made recently is literally Madden Ultimate Team has like 40 players. It's got like 40 players and each player's got like 80 cards. Golden tickets and player of the weeks and I mean just a huge list and it's so annoying and it's just you face guys that just have the same team over and over again. Maybe the tool of being able to aggressive catch is a big deal, but maybe in your draft you don't really get like a huge target, right? Or even if you do get a huge target, maybe you've got like a user linebacker that you really want to control. So there might be seasons or like times where you're trying to win the championship and you don't really have that big target that you want just because it was never offered to you. So I definitely like that. So your championship. After the draft, it's time to take the new squad onto the field. Choosing a solo draft gives players up to 3 games against AI opponents, which means the computer. With each victory, the quality of the competition will increase until the championship game in the brand new draft championship stadium. So here you can just take a look at a screenshot that shows your lineup. You can go and adjust that. There's really not much to be seen. It basically is just going to tick off the boxes every time you win, and then if you lose, it's going to check the box that you lost, and it's showing your overall up in the top right corner just like it does for Madden Ultimate Team. So getting to the end of the article right here, players looking for a real challenge can jump into a head-to-head draft. While drafts happen independently, taking on the best players in Madden NFL 16 will provide the ultimate test for your drafting skills. Win 4 games in a row to become a true draft champion. The number of games in each event are relatively low in order to preserve the Madden fantasy in a night. So basically what they're saying is 4 games, if you're going to play against head-to-head opponents, is something that you can do real quick in one night and feel like you accomplished something in that night, rather than Madden Ultimate Team that might take 2 or even 3 nights to complete your Super Bowl, depending on your lifestyle. So even if you get knocked out, you can get right back in and draft another team, which is awesome. If you play the first round and you get knocked out, then you can just go right back, draft another team, and then still potentially complete that season right in one night. So we couldn't be more excited to get draft champions into your hands, and we'll see how we answer the question, what does Madden do with fantasy football? So that's the end of the blog. My mouth is like incredibly dry. I really struggled to read some of the words because, it's just so dry. I could have taken a break, but I mean, we got 19 minutes here already, so I couldn't really grab a drink. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm really looking forward to this Draft Champions. Honestly, this is, I mean, I love it. I can go, and if I want a lab and I got to do lab tips and put up ebooks for the site, or whatever the case may be, like stuff that really had me busy last year that I couldn't participate in MUT, I mean, I can jump into this whenever I want and just create a team and boom, like just, on stream. I mean, just love it. Love it. Just the ability to be on stream and have everyone in there, maybe even helping you with some of your decisions. Because as it said, right, you could go as fast or as slow as you want. You could basically be in stream, right, and do a vote system. Have a thing where you get everyone to vote each round. And then your chat in the stream drafts the team for you. Yeah, I should probably copyright that. Is there a way I can get like a patent on that? Anyway, but you could do stuff like that, and it's really going to make the whole experience a lot better for streaming, for quick results. I love it. So again, I don't usually ask for likes, but for those of you that love a lot of the information, I love to hear different people's opinions on everything, and you treat this as a podcast, maybe you're listening to it on the headphones or listen to it in the car at work with your phone sitting on the chair next to you, the seat next to you, send a like, to this video and let me know what you think. Do you have any concerns about this? I mean, to me, right, this is the one thing that I love, is so far, there doesn't seem like that there's a concern. Oh, well, I'm worried about. No, like, what's to be worried about? To me, this just seems like a pure mode. Unlike Madden Ultimate Team, you don't need to worry about certain things. You just go, you draft your team real quick, and you play. And that's it. So, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's Mr. Smith, and my mouth is dry, but I got a couple more videos to do. So, I'll see you soon.